Morning.
So Dave has people come to play gel ball on the site, and we can have some hundreds of people over the weekend, and there are competing sites around Brisbane. We think it would be someone who's just dobbed Dave in to try and get him in trouble, so that the business, well, it's not a business, so the activity gets closed down. And so that's what the council's coming for, an alleged sewerage leak on the site.
That sounds like horseshit.
Yeah. And Dave's already had an engineer come and look at the site and determined that the only issues on the site are actually water coming off the council property next door across this property. So we're actually going to pursue them for that, but this is just to do with an alleged sewage leak. And there is no leak. So, and we've sent them that report and they still refuse to acknowledge it, and they want to come and have a look. They're just trying to get on the site and cause problems. They've been trying here before, like they've tried to get on because of building approvals, because of dogs, because of serving food, because of, I can't remember now. But yeah, they've been hassling Dave for years. He's been running his games on here for like 8 years, and so far we've been able to keep defending the property. But this time, because things are hotting up with COVID and the communist takeover, I thought it would be good to have all of the other people arrive today and stand there. So if it gets out of hand, like if they just go away, that's great. But if it gets out of hand, then I'm going to rely on the sheriff to take control of the situation. So,
Right.
yeah.
And we have our sheriffs here, Sheriff Dave.
Morning.
And myself. And we have a few assembly members here, and I think more are coming.
And Dave's already had an engineer come and look at the site and determined that the only issues on the site are actually water coming off the council property next door across this property. So we're actually going to pursue them for that, but this is just to do with an alleged sewage leak. And there is no leak. So, and we've sent them that report and they still refuse to acknowledge it, and they want to come and have a look. They're just trying to get on the site and cause problems. They've been hassling Dave for years. He's been running his games on here for like 8 years, and so far we've been able to keep defending the property. But this time, because things are hotting up with COVID and the communist takeover, I thought it would be good to have all of the other people arrive today and stand there. So if it gets out of hand, like if they just go away, that's great. But if it gets out of hand, then I'm going to rely on the sheriff to take control of the situation.
Well, we waited for about an hour for the council people to turn up. They didn't bother. So now we're all going in a convoy to Caboolture local council offices, and we're going to beard the dragon in his office. And here are the troops assembling at the council buildings. Here we are outside the Moreton Bay Council offices. We're just waiting for more people to turn up. We have Sheriff Dave here. G'day, mate.
G'day.
We have Sheriff Wayne over there. And we have Registrar Shane. And we have our two beautiful ladies and a few other people here. Altogether there's 11 of us here. And we're just waiting to pick up a couple more people who are arriving, and then we will go in en masse.
Is everyone here?
Everyone that's turning up is here, including yours truly.
He was supposed to turn up at a meeting this morning at 9 o'clock and he didn't turn up, so we've decided to come and find him. My name's Shane.
Shane?
Shane.
Okay, Shane. And what's the property in relation?
It's not stopping. It's pretty new.
And you're the
What have you done?
Shane?
No, I'm not, but I'm a resident.
And so what's it in relation to?
He was supposed to come and do an inspection this morning, apparently.
At 9 a.m?
Yeah.
Okay. Won't be a moment. I'm sorry, sir, you can't record in here.
Pollution is horribly big.
We're still waiting for the council member to turn up.
See what you can drink. No, for a
I've been told I can't record in here, but there are dozens of cameras in here, as you can see, so if they don't want me to record, perhaps they should turn their cameras off too.
They're trying to find him. He's in the building.
So
Okay.
you basically intercede.
He's under his desk, I
So you're. So she's
Fear is a good controller, isn't it? They put this problem, reaction, solution.
Yep.
Fear is a big controller.
Right, gang, this is their man.
Yeah. Well, just.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going well.
Yeah.
I'm John Bruce.
You don't mind if I film? This-
I just wanted to come down here because apparently you wanted to come and talk to me.
Yeah, well, you.
And I just wanted to find out who you are and who's David and.
You'd made an appointment to come and see the property at 215 Donnybrook,
Today, that's right.
and you didn't turn up, and you didn't leave a message, and you didn't answer a phone, didn't send a text. You're just wondering what's happening.
And your name, please?
Shane?
Shane. The reason Shane is because David sent an email
Yesterday?
and said that no one will be going on site unless they sign this agreement. And we've been directed not to sign the agreement. And I said, therefore we can't come on. And the response email says, well, until you sign the agreement, you won't have permission. So there was no need to turn up today because we weren't going to sign the agreement.
Yeah,
when we said that.
would have been nice to be let know. 'Cause
I wanted to get back to you as well, but you know, it's not just me. I've got to go through management as well about the next steps. And my intention was always to come back to you and say, well, we've got to follow this next step because that's what we're required to do, and that's what it involves. So that's what we're working on now is what is council's next step to do this investigation because we're required to, because it's been brought to our attention to investigate.
Have you seen the engineering report that states that the plumbing that's supposedly not working is actually functioning?
I haven't seen any report.
You haven't? I'll give you a copy. There you go. That was sent to you by text some time back. So there is no reason for you to come and inspect as far as we're concerned. That answers the inquiry.
No, it doesn't.
Well, by
There's a
any
few-
reasonable mind it does.
Yeah. So there's a few concerns. One is about if there's a sewage system that's not being maintained. Another thing is about having a sewage system that's suitable for the intended use. And if you have approval.
Yeah, but if you haven't seen the sewage system, how do you know? How can you make these contentions?
That's why we want to come on and do the investigation.
But that's not what the complaint was about. The complaint was about a leaking system. The system's not leaking, it's functioning properly. There's no reason for you to come on the property. Now you're just making up other reasons to come onto the property.
Other reasons.
Yes.
There's other things going on with the building development compliance.
What other things?
And you can talk to them
What
about
other
that.
thing?
So there is concerns being raised about the use of the land and if you have approval for that use of the land for the activities.
We don't need approval from the council.
Yeah, but I
property-
don't want to
the
talk
property
about that
development
side
fee simple?
because you can talk to the building development compliance officer
we'll do
on
that.
That's fine.
Make sure you get them in touch with us.
Yeah, so this wouldn't satisfy the investigation. This form 18A inspection certificate, it's all-
It's certified, there's no issue with the sewage.
yeah,
If there was an issue, they would have said so on the form.
no, it doesn't satisfy.
Are you more
It's-
qualified?
Well, why doesn't it satisfy? You have to justify why you're saying that.
Why isn't it satisfactory?
Do you have any evidence of the fact that they are unable to do their job and make that certification?
Well, this is what I've got to find out. Who is Robbie or Bobby Holland? Robbie Holland?
Well, you
What is
you
his
did just say that
qualifications?
it doesn't satisfy.
This form 18A is not for this intended purpose. I don't know what he's thinking about submitting. This is to do with another
Really?
plumbing legislation requirement. And then also I've got to go on and address the investigation that's been requested to council.
Who requested it?
Yeah. You can go through freedom of information. It's not for us to say what's going
Listen,
on.
I'll remind you of the Public Sector Ethics Act 1993. You're required to answer questions when they're put to you. You're required to answer them honestly. It's an offence under the Act not to do so as a Crown employee.
Yeah, I don't know about that, but you can certainly put that to council if you believe that's the case. But
Well, actually, I think it's been asked you as an individual, not the council, because ultimately you will be held accountable for any action that may be taken.
in relation to what?
Well, into interference with the property, trespass. I can
No.
go on with a big long list. So,
Yeah.
and also, you know, stalling you've been given a form which basically says, yep, you're allowed in as long as you sign this, which is quite, we've got to do the same thing here. Will you let us in the door here without signing something or giving details? No. Well, the same thing goes for you. Same thing goes for anybody. The corporation, right, it's a corporation. It's as simple as that. It is not a local government body because there is no such thing. Have you heard of the referendums that have been held? These are all operating unlawfully. You're operating as a public official unlawfully. So we could go on, but I know it's going in one end and out the other because you haven't got the balls to admit that you're crooked.
Dick Yardley's book, Australian Political and Religious Leaders, Treason, Treachery and Sabotage. Dick exposes how Whitlam, Hawke, Keating, Goss, Rudd and all the other Fabians have destroyed our manufacturing and agriculture. If you want to know exactly how they have done it, get Dick's book at advanceaustralia.com.au and click on merchandise. Knowledge is power. Get the power to fight the corruption today.
We're getting off track here.
No, we're not. That's the facts.
The simple
That's
facts
the facts.
are there's been...
No, the simple facts are you're operating unlawfully, you trespass on people's property without any authority, and
Well, we
you use
haven't-
standover tactics. I'm speaking my own personal experience. I've had dealings with the council before, and
No, we'll just stay on track of what we're trying to do here.
well, no, we're trying to let you know that you've got no permission to enter that property unless you sign those documents, and don't try to weasel your way around to try to get in there some other way, because it'll be taken as trespass, which
There's
is
no reason
quite
to go
heavily.
around it. The only
Well,
way-
you're just admitting that you want to got to look at it and see another way around getting into the property, basically, without signing that agreement. That's what I take. Will you say the same thing?
Yep.
That's what he's saying. So
There is a process involved. If there's considered there is concerns, the council can go via the Local Government Act.
well, there's no concern. It's a matter of signing a document to give them permission to enter.
And the Local Government Act is illegal anyway.
Your access, we're saying you can come on once you sign that form.
Yeah, that's just the
The same as
point.
workplace health and safety,
We've
etc.,
been
etc.
advised not to sign it.
You know why? You know why? Because you're not allowed to come on unless you have permission. And that is an agreement that you'll be signing and you'll be bound to.
Under the Local Government Act is where we'll follow.
The Local Government Act is invalid. It's
Well,
rubbish.
Does that
It is
supersede
rubbish.
fee simple?
You as a worker better start understanding this, because there's a lot of people out there who are waking up to it all, and you people will be held accountable personally. Have you heard of the Nuremberg trials?
No.
Well, what you do, you can't use the excuse that, oh, my boss told me, because it'll be you workers that'll be held accountable, that'll lose your homes, that'll be in the situation that you make us by all the threats, intimidation. There's people who've committed suicide because of people like yourself.
I know one personally.
You know, he knows one personally.
Woodford, there was a Moreton Bay Regional
Woodford.
Council that persecuted a guy on site and he committed suicide. And we know
There's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
Committed suicide.
So-
And you're
so
going
your
to pay for it
actions-
one
your
day.
I don't want this at all. All
Who's
we
the
want to
Your
do
actions-
is to address
your actions are
the
causing
request
a
to investigate, and which I
Intimidate and harass.
Well,
And
what about,
as soon as
what
we do
about,
the investigation, then we can advise how you can resolve it if needed.
They've
what
written-
about your actions that are causing stress and duress for a person who's living on the land who has been persecuted for the last several years? Every year the Moreton Bay Regional Council tries to do the same thing, come and cause problems on the property, and this man is very suicidal. We've all been there to support him. If you want to keep pushing this and you want to have his blood on your hands, you keep going, because that's what's going to happen.
Also, he's had his licence removed from, which stops him from getting about, his income and so forth, because some bullshit fine from a corporation that has no power, no head of power, no authority, no recognitions in the Constitution, and we can go on and on and on. But you'll just ignore it. You'll take it to your bosses and they'll just...
Well, the fact is too that we are actually a common law assembly. That means we are a lawful body of people who have come together, signed a charter, and we are a local government body for the people, elected by the people. I'm a sheriff elected by the people. So we have the power, not you guys. You work for a corporation, and when you work for a corporation, you are responsible for any actions that you personally take. Now, in a common law assembly, we can also convene a common law court where we can drag you into that court to stand in judgment for your actions before a jury of 12. So you better be very careful from now on how you behave. When you start harassing people, you are personally responsible.
Check with the Sunshine Coast Council. I've currently got happenings with two of the staff from there, and their bill at the moment is up to around $60,000 or $70,000. Now, when it is enacted, which will happen, it's only a matter of time, they'll probably lose everything. Now, they've ignored everything. Council will be the same as the Moreton Regional Council. They all just ignore correspondence, hoping it'll go away. But it
we're
won't
here.
go away.
We
There's
won't go
more of
away.
us. And this is only a handful of us. There's a lot more waiting at the property in case somebody decides to trespass, and there's lots of others. When push comes to shove, the Australian people have had enough, and yourself and all these other people here will be held accountable one day. So just keep that in mind. Think of your family, because we're all being screwed.
Yeah.
You, all of us here.
Yeah, you've been lied
That's
to.
the end of the wash-up, and that's all through the law, and it's correct, well, so be it.
The
But at
laws are
moment,
invalid,
we're
it's
required
invalid.
to go under our legislation.
Can I just ask a question? Do you have an anti-bullying policy in this workplace?
Yeah, there is
Yeah.
requirement.
Where can I get a copy of that?
If you give me my name and email address, and I'll point you in that direction.
You don't have a hard copy of it?
I don't have a hard copy here, no.
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 It's,
Would you like
it's
me
not.
to-
It's not publicly available.
I don't know, customer service may have it, you can ask them, but if you
I'll
want me to
contact
follow it
customer
up, I
service.
can send you the documentation.
You are aware of that policy and the implications of bullying people from a workplace as an employee?
It's all through our values as a council, that we have to people to respect, and that's what we're trying to do here. We're just trying to follow up a complaint that's been issued to council, and we need to follow our legislation.
Well, you better give us the details of the person who put the complaint in, because it could be just somebody who's got a gripe against
They
this.
won't
So,
do that.
is it?
They won't provide that.
I know they
They won't provide any evidence.
because they lie.
It's rhetorical.
They probably haven't. They've just decided to harass him, and you know.
It's a
that's what happens.
vexatious. It's a
You can't face
vexatious
your accuser.
complaint. It's a vexatious complaint.
Yeah, of
from-
course it is. Of course it is. I've asked the same thing before, and they refuse to, because there probably isn't. It's probably some councillor who
Drone-
just
drone
got
fine
doing
over.
something similar, or is jealous, and we
All
never
right.
get to, you know. Anyway.
May I ask, is David here? Is David?
No, he's not well enough
He's
to
not
come
well
here
enough
because
to travel because of the stress he's under. He's put his back out this morning from the stress. Unbelievable what's happening. And this happens every year at about the same time to Moreton Bay Regional Council. It's got to stop. It's got to stop.
and then when somebody's had enough and somebody from the council is then involved in it, well, then you might wake up, because people have had it up to here.
We're
And
concerned
up
for
here.
his mental health. His mental health is deteriorating significantly.
I think what we can achieve here this morning with you is an agreement that you will not harass him again without due cause.
I'm not here to harass anyone.
Well,
The
that's
point
what.
is, if there is all the approvals for the plumbing, building and planning, there's no problem. And it's all been maintained in accordance with those approvals, and that's all we need to check.
Can you show us
Then
some
you would-
evidence that it hasn't been?
Or just hearsay.
Hearsay isn't applicable.
There's only ways that we can justify doing an investigation if there's enough evidence.
All right, where's the
But
evidence?
where's the evidence? Have you provided the evidence to David
Besides
as
the
the accused
vexatious-
person?
We cannot.
Oh,
You can
okay.
follow the freedom of information. It's not. We're not required to.
We know what the freedom of information is like. They just pick and choose what they want to give you because it's fast.
Look, the fact is you can't act without evidence, and you don't have any evidence, so therefore please stop.
Well, provide it.
Provide the evidence. Show us.
A vexatious complaint, that's all.
Yeah.
There's other evidences as well.
Well, hold on. If you have evidence, why aren't you proceeding?
You just want to destroy this bloke before
You don't need to be on the property. You have the evidence that you have. Proceed.
There's evidence suggesting that we need to go on site to do an investigation.
That's not evidence.
There
of
is
a problem.
evidence or there is not evidence. There can't be evidence suggesting. If there is evidence suggesting, proceed on the evidence suggesting.
We've got plenty of evidence that the council's got no authority. But yous are still here, aren't you?
And that'll be the matter for the court if it gets it.
The court, well, that's as cropped as what the council is.
Is this the hard copy of the digital sent to me?
Yep. Just so that you know you've got a copy.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, where to from here? Because
Well, we're here.
council have to follow their path with the
The council
legislation.
hasn't got to do anything.
If you don't have to do anything. You don't have any evidence to act. If you continue to harass David, there will be, under your bullying policy, there will be
Consequences.
consequences.
And whoever's up front, which is possibly yourself, you will be held accountable.
But also your bosses.
And yeah, I was just going to say, and whoever's in charge, because the council's only using our money to screw us over. So we got, unfortunately, it's the workers that are going to cop the brunt, and they need to wake up that they're operating unlawfully with no authorisation. They got a piece of paper. Where do they get that from? Cornflakes packet.
So where we go from here, we've informed you, and you now know. So if you continue, then you know that there will be consequences, and I think that's all we need to do.
And
Thank
this will
you.
become public knowledge too.
Yeah.
The council will have to follow its process.
And then the council will have to provide evidence before they proceed.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Otherwise, they're vexatious, aren't they?
Council will follow their process to deal with the request to address what's been claimed, alleges, and that's what they'll do. And they'll only follow the process that's in their acts. That's all they
And
can
they'll
do.
abide by all of them.
Yeah. And
So
all of
if
the
there's,
process.
if all the plumbing, if all the building, all the planning is as per the approvals
Yeah.
for it, there's no problem.
yeah, and
If there's not, we can work with you to get the
yeah,
approvals.
and just take notice that take note that you have been informed of all this now. So you can't turn around and say you weren't informed, and any council worker, contractor, whoever enters that property, there is a fine for trespassing, and it'll be taken to the full level. So, you know, you do what you have to do,
Yeah,
and we
that's
will do what we
exactly
have to do.
right. And that's where it is, and we will be following our due
Yeah,
process.
as I said, I've already got
legislation.
2 council workers who've got a nice bill racked up for trespass, and that'll be happening a lot more often.
Yeah, we won't be going on without the permission or the required approval documents.
Approval document from who?
From the court of law.
No, well, the court of law is no. It's the
No, they can't.
fee simple.
In fee simple, the only people who can interfere with the agreement of the land, the people on the land to use the land as they wish, is the Queen and the people who are on the land themselves, who have the right to be there. No one else. The courts, no one has no right to interfere.
They just use bluff.
That agreement has been in place for hundreds of years.
Since Magna Carta. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, that's it, thank you.
Just one more question. The council required to abide by water management policies as laid out by the state government?
Yes, they're required
They are.
to follow the law.
Yeah, yeah. Water management policies, yeah. Good, thanks.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for your time.
See you later.
Shane, what did you think of that interaction?
I think he was actually quite brave to come to the counter. But he obviously is just someone who's going to follow the rules of the council. He's not really the person who is in charge or has any authority. Someone else is going to be the one that's telling him what to do. He's just a drone.
Yeah.
But because he's an agent of council, that means council's been informed of everything that he's been told, and if he doesn't pass it on, he'd be unwise to pass on everything that's been told to him. My next step will be to go home and write a letter just to inform the council of the duress and stress that they're putting David under because of the constant harassment every year for the last several years for different matters at different times. And take that avenue. And I think following up the bullying policy of the council would be a good idea as well. Get their rules and regulations that they have to abide by.
Absolutely. Thank you, mate. I think we might ask a couple of people here what their thoughts on unified action as we have just taken. Would you like to introduce yourself?
My name's Sean Lee. I come from Mapleton,
Yep.
Sunshine Coast.
And what were your thoughts on this action today?
I felt really inspired by it, actually. I think this is a really inspiring thing because it shows that we have to work together now.
Exactly.
Particularly now during this stressful COVID time, this pandemic that we're all suffering under. And I just feel I'm concerned for my friend's mental health because he's really suffering, not just under COVID, but he's now suffering what appears to be harassment from the council. So that's what I'm concerned about. I already lost one friend to suicide by council inspectors. I
Right.
don't want to see any more. There's
As a
been
ma-
another one in Mullaney too.
As a member of the Sunshine Coast Assembly, what did you think of the action itself in terms of how we are uniting the people and taking action like this?
I think it's wonderful and it's got to happen more and more. I just hope it happens more. We have to work together now. We have to stop this bullying. And the only way to do that is to educate people about what's going on.
Very
Common
good.
law is great.
Thank you, mate.
Yeah.
Wayne, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, Wayne Pevett from Golden Beach. And we
Are
just
you a
had-
member of the Sunshine Coast Assembly?
Yes, I go there every couple of weeks and have a very interesting chat with everybody, like-minded people who are aware of what's happening in Australia, not just with the COVID, but the illegality of the councils and the government, etc. And we just had an interesting discussion with the gentleman from the Compulsion Council and informed him quite clearly that they had no authority and that they need to stop harassing people and causing medical conditions that could lead to possible death and suicide. And so a number of us came here to sort of support a friend who's basically has had enough of the confrontation and the harassment from the unlawful council.
Right. How many were there today, Wayne?
Oh, we had about a dozen or so here at the chambers, plus more at the friend's property,
Right.
because allegedly they were going to come there for inspection and to commit trespass, but didn't even have the courage to turn up, probably knowing that there was going to be a few people there to support our friend.
Well, it was interesting that he said that he couldn't go because the landowner or occupier had asked him to sign a release form, which he wouldn't do. So we can keep these people away by asking them to take responsibility and sign a release form.
That's exactly right. We made it quite clear that the council staff will be held accountable because the council basically is a private corporation, so we have to take the workers themselves on and take action against those individuals.
Exactly. Thanks, Wayne.
Hi, I'm David. I'm a sheriff from the Sunshine Coast Common Law Assembly. It shows that we the people can fight back, and these assemblies have been set up all around the world. not just here in Australia, but around the world. And when the people fight back, there is more of us than there are of them. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Vicky. I'm a member of the Sunshine Coast Assembly. Very proud to be here today with our little visit to the council. I think what we've done today, apart from other things, is to inform the employees that is their personal responsibility for what their corporation tells them to do. I think this is a magnificent start to that, because that young man we spoke to today, he will go and tell other employees, and he may look a few things up online. So very proud to be part of it.
Thank you, Vicky, and thank you for coming along today.
Thank you.
We're gunning for you. We've had enough, we're gonna take you down. Nowhere to run, you're under the gun. Nowhere to hide, we're gonna take you down. Look what you've done, you all better run. All of your guns won't protect you now. Your judges and cops, here's where it stops. Run, politicians, take your last bow. All of your crimes, you're gonna do the time. Treason and treachery, all for a dime. No more fines, you built this fine. You've taken our money for the last time. You might as well run for the hills, we're gonna take